All right, so this is the YouTube link with MJ
Yes,
responding to Thomas Massie, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so let me click a couple of buttons here, and here we go.
Of my party, I lead the incumbent protection program. Okay, that's my job. I go all around the country. I travel endlessly, incessantly. I have to raise over $300 million to do that, and we want everybody to come back. And some people, I try to protect them from themselves. They kick and scream and bite their own colleagues. Some people seem to enjoy in trying to inflict political pain on their own teammates. I'm not going to address anybody individually, but I'll tell you that some here are much more frustrated than others. There's a small, tiny handful, but one in particular who's given me lots of consternation. I don't understand. I don't understand Thomas Massie's motivation. I really don't. I don't know how his mind works. I don't know what he's thinking. Thomas Massie could have brought his discharge petition any time over the last 4.5 years. Over the last 4 years of the Biden administration, he could have done that at any time. And now he's clamoring as if there's some sort of timeline on it. It's interesting to me that he chose the election of President Trump to bring this, to team up with the Democrats and bring this discharge petition. So do I have some concern about that? I do. But in me and my way, I try to follow Ronald Reagan's 11th commandment, never speak evil of another Republican. My gosh, it's hard to do sometimes around here. I also try to follow the scripture. It says, bless those who persecute you. So let me just say about Thomas Massie, could you just accept my Southern bless his heart? Okay, I don't know what else to say about it. We're for maximum transparency. We're engaging in that right now, and we don't need political games.
Interesting.
So that touched a nerve, huh, Danny?
it did.
Logan
I did.
Lutuso
And
is finally speaking.
Sorry, guys.
it did, and I would like to say too that on a serious note, I take no pleasure, and I mean that seriously. I don't take any pleasure in that press release that I put out, and I will kind of tell you, as we mentioned earlier, Duke, and as you know, a week ago I made the comment of how aggravated I was, and I usually have about 48 hours that I start getting unaggravated, and so I gave myself a week before I decided to put this press release out. I didn't. It's not a knee-jerk reaction. I talked to somebody that helps me politically. That I said, "Do you think I should do this?" And he said, "Politically speaking, no. There's no benefit of putting this out." And I said, "Well, I feel duty bound to put it out because, Speaker Johnson is my congressman." I said, and really think about it, guys. If I don't, what other elected official, even if they believe what my press release says, what other elected official would put it out there? I felt duty bound to do it. And let me say this about Congressman Johnson. I've always considered him moderate. When he was in Baton Rouge, he was a moderate. And, I didn't have anything against him by any means, but, he was a moderate. And he went to Washington, and he pretty much stayed a moderate. But, most cases he voted, mostly good. But since he's become speaker, he's made some really votes that concern me. And I want to mention some of these votes that kind of led me up to the point to I think that press release needed to go out. Are y'all familiar with FISA? FISA is the I don't remember what the
702.
acronym actually spells. Yeah, and
The
what what it was,
702 data thing, yeah.
it's basically what allows the federal government to spy on American citizens without a warrant. This was before President Trump was for office, when Speaker Johnson was the speaker. He had voted against these things all through his career, but then he becomes speaker. It comes up for renewal, and before they go to vote on it, somebody tries to put an amendment on there that says you have to have a warrant before you can spy electronically on U.S. citizens. And Speaker Johnson cast the vote that killed that amendment. He was the final vote was 212-212, and he had to cast the 212 vote, which made it a tie, which killed that. So Speaker Johnson is something being a big Second Amendment guy. I don't think the government should be spying on me. And Speaker Johnson made that vote, and to me, he was on the wrong side of that vote, and Thomas Massie was on the right side of that vote. Then it comes to my personal opinion. I'm concerned about the national debt. I'm concerned about the federal funding of the war in Ukraine. There's been, I'm understanding, 1.5 million Ukrainians killed in that war, and don't know how many Russians. Speaker Johnson has voted to fund that war. I think it's a very serious vote. When you vote making votes that hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people are dying, and that's a serious vote. And that's a vote I disagreed with him on, and one that Thomas Massie, I thought, was on the right side. Then it comes to the national debt, which may be the most aggravating part to me all along. This last vote was, I don't know where it wound up, over $1 trillion, maybe $2 trillion is going to grow the national debt. What most people don't realize, though, it had added about another $2 trillion to the unfunded liabilities that are off the books. So somewhere between $3.5 and $4 trillion. Speaker Johnson is promoting this budget that puts us in that kind of debt. That's something Thomas Massie took a stand on. You kind of see a pattern here where I'm going. And then it come out to this. So I'm not appreciative of my congressman and his votes, but I have not been saying anything. I've been staying silent. But I have been watching Thomas Massie, and in my opinion, I don't agree with anybody all the time, but on most sides, I think he's very principled. He's on the right side of the votes. And then I seen y'all show. Y'all enlightened me with this clip that we just watched, and I was really aggravated about Congressman Johnson's attitude. I thought it was sarcastic. I thought it was rude. I thought he was, you don't really hear him talking about the children. He's talking about Thomas Massie, and he runs the incumbent protection program. Did y'all realize there was an incumbent protection program in Washington? I knew there was. I didn't know anybody would actually say that out loud, though. What if there are no good Republicans? Are you just going to reelect them anyhow? I mean, and then he, everything. Congressman Scalise was in the back of him, backslapping him through the whole deal. I was discouraged when I seen him do that. It was just, and then the part that got me, the part that put me over the edge, was when he pulled scriptures and made it sound like me and God, Thomas Massie is against me and God. And, to being a Christian, my beliefs are very rooted. I'm a sinner. Every morning I wake up, I fight the good and evil in my own heart. I have no high ground, and Speaker Mike Johnson has no high ground neither. And for him to say that, to use scriptures to belittle somebody that I believe has been taking hard votes that he should be taking, that he's not, I just felt like I was duty bound to put out that press release. Just let it, because how many people y'all think in our community even really know who Thomas Massie is? Probably really very few. More people are trying to make a living. They don't follow politics like we do. How many people how many people do you think in Mike Johnson's district know he was the vote that keeps the warrantless, the federal government able to spy on the American citizens without warrants? He was that vote. He wasn't one of the 212. He voted last. How many of his people do you think do know that? And I guess what I could say is, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. I'll say this: I think on these votes that Mike Johnson made a mistake. We just talked about the mistake I made. So hopefully this will encourage Mike Johnson to look at himself in the mirror and say, hey, I'm the third most powerfulest man in the world. I have all of this power. I need to respect the people that are taking conservative stances, and maybe I need to look more like them instead of look like me. So, maybe y'all have a question to ask me, but I just I don't take any pride in doing this whatsoever, but I think it's necessary to be done. I think, one promise I made my people when I got elected is I tell them what I seen the truth is. And to me, this is cut and dry. Speaker Johnson needs to apologize, and he needs to change his ways.